class. So let's start with group number 2, starting with Sean's work. I'm going to start with the denotative version. So Sean, I think this is definitely better than last week's. It's gotten a little bit more improvement. Um, I would like to see, though, it a little bit break out from the traditional recipe look. It still has that look, and I think the only change that happened was bringing in the type that stacks on top, like so. And I want to see if there's a way we can kind of break out of that, this overall block that we have in the middle of the page. So I want us to see how we can use other areas of the page to create some visual interest. And I like that we're starting to create some asymmetry here, starting with the title treatment. And I think your type over here can get smaller, like the type that you have over here with the ingredients, and maybe the ingredients type can go a little bit larger. So maybe there's a way to break up the paragraph structure here to find some kind of interesting balance with the overall white space of the page. I like the white space happening here, but I just feel that, and on the top of the page as well, I just feel like it's a little too much of a block right now, and we're not really separating different areas of the content in order for us to create a visual interest to the viewer. So think of this as a small poster, if you will. So just kind of break up this block, if you will, and just take a look at how we can organize this information a little bit more differently, because it still has that traditional recipe look, and we're trying to break out of that. For your connotative, I think this is definitely beautiful and has a very particular touch to it. I love the simplicity of it and just the approach that you've taken by making this very readable, especially the type right here. So that really helps. One thing that I would like to encourage you to do here is maybe add the word instructions or ingredients somehow, because I do see that there is a gap over here, and well, those gaps tend to be a little bit more equidistant in other areas, but I see a big gap over here. Maybe that's something where you can include the word ingredients. And then maybe there is some kind of numbering system to include in some of those weaves of your type. And it could be as simple as maybe putting the 1 next to the word bake or in. So think about that just so we can understand how to read your recipe. And then I think you did a good job with just taking the advice of bringing things a little bit closer towards the center and avoiding the type getting too close to areas like the title. But I think this is definitely a strong one for you, and definitely says apple pie. Let's move to the second one. This is Jake's work, so this is chicken fettuccine alfredo. So this looks a lot better, Jake. And this is your denotative. So let's start with your connotative. So it looks like we're looking at what looks like a fork over here, so that seems to have a nice touch. Just careful with how small you're getting with your type. This is getting a little bit too difficult to read. I don't think your type needs to be this large. It can go a lot smaller, and if you want to stick to this font, that's fine, but I encourage you to find something a little bit more, I want to say a little bit more classical in the sense where we're not seeing too many lines, because there's already so many lines going on here with the amount of detail you put in, and then we have more lines in the type, so just to maybe tone it down a little bit. And I think we're missing the N over here, so I'm not sure why we're cutting off the type and not reading the rest of the words, so we just need to be a little bit more conscious about those types of decisions. I don't think centering the type right here is the right option, and putting things on a wave like this is way too much going on. I think you have enough going on with the fork and the type like this that adding more effects just seems to compete with the rest of the page. So I would say let's get rid of this wave-like effect and just treat it as straight type, and see if there are ways to align certain areas of your paragraphs, right? So I would just think about that a little bit more for your next round. For your denotative, I would say be very careful with how close you're getting to areas of the type right here. This is getting way too close to your title. Um, and yeah, this bottom area needs way more space. So this is pretty large. I think you can make this smaller. You can even make this as small as this type right here. It still reads. And I think this block of text needs somehow to be broken up into smaller chunks because that is a large piece of text to read. And when you want directions, you want to see step 1, step 2, step 3 organized clearly. And right now this is just a big block of text, so it kind of tells your viewer, doesn't really encourage them to read it. So I want to make sure that it still reads. So I would just encourage you to make things a little bit smaller, divide up the information more clearly, and probably a numbering system of sorts. And careful with how close you're getting to the type. This is getting way too close to certain edges. Okay? Let's go to Kimberly's work. And really, this is looking a lot better, a lot more cleaner. There seems to be less text, or it's divided up in a lot more of a streamlined fashion and seems to read a lot clearer. I don't think the centered layout is really working for the type. I would say do something that's more along the lines of flush left. Okay, and then maybe step 1 could be on the same alignment as the paragraph. But I think working this area out a lot more has been helpful. Bringing in areas like this, pieces of information where you say prep time, your cooking, your total hours and servings, is a nice way to introduce more information like so. So you're definitely separating your content that way. One thing I would encourage you is right now directions and ingredients are in the same font and almost same size, although I would say directions is a lot larger. And then you have a different title treatment for 10-inch cheesecake and filling, and I want to see somehow how we unite those titles together. And that would be a little bit more balanced, I would say, even just for filling. Um, right now, unless filling is part of, the ingredients list of sorts, but I just feel like I read this as a title right here, like ingredients. So if there's a way to unite those titles in a way that doesn't feel so disconnected, because right now we have this title treatment and this title treatment and one title treatment here that's different than this one. We need to just see a little bit more unification. I don't mind seeing 10-inch cheesecake because this seems to stand out on its own, but then these seem to somehow want to be the same of sorts and just be a little bit more united. But I think overall this is a lot more stronger and it has more breathing room. So just a few touches here and there for your next round and I think you'll be set. I think this looks great. I don't think you want to change anything right here. I like that we put the type on a curve just to match the curve of the overall shape of the pumpkin here. So I wouldn't change anything here. I think this one is done and you did a really good job with this. Looks beautiful. Nice interpretation of a pumpkin cheesecake recipe that I encourage you to share with your family and friends. Looks good. Let's move on to, I'm not sure whose work this is. Forgive me, but I'll have the work in the file. Let's see whose this is. So I think this is definitely a better approach for how you are dividing up your page. This seems to make more sense. I do like that we're starting to align things to the left of the page. I don't like that we're centering things over here. I would rather we start to align maybe to katsu somewhere, or the top, I would say the baseline of katsu right here. So imagine this line coming down right here, or to the top part of the word. So that way we're not just seeing weird white space around this area. And I would also say the same goes here. Let's see if we can align certain things to maybe be left, right? And then I would say this is a lot of space right here that's pretty open that I think you can shift this paragraph up here and have it aligned to the baseline of the first sentence right here where it says cut the onion, potato, and carrot. Make that align with number 4 right here because and somehow it seems like this type is smaller than this type, so let's make sure these two, if they're instructions, that they kind of match the same size. So I just bring this up, make it align to this first sentence, and that way you'd have more open space right here. Okay? And then for your quantitative, I'm still struggling with this one. It feels like the text has just been placed randomly. I'm not really seeing much of a connotative reason. The motive side of Japanese chicken curry katsu. I see it with the color, but there's just the text is just placed in different angles, and it just doesn't seem to make an organized layout. Again, remember, you are allowed to use the grid for your connotative, and you can do things maybe with just the title treatment to make this a little bit more different. But you do not need to put text on an angle just to say that this is different than your denotative. So I would revisit this. This just looks like it's just been pasted on there without any reasoning or purpose. So let's just revisit that for your second round. Okay. Let's go to Roger Hill. So Roger, this looks a lot better for this round. I'm seeing a weird angle happen where the type here is kind of going downwards. And it just kind of seems a little bit odd. Maybe we need more text for that to be more believable. I think it works here with your text here with the steps. I think if we can bring this somehow up, vanilla cheesecake, and just have this be a little bit more united with the top and the bottom, that would make a little bit more sense. I would just bring in more white space to this side. This side has nice white space going on. And then you bring this up a little bit more, and then this guy can go up a bit more. This space can breathe a little bit more here. And then when this area right here can go move in slightly, we'll see more breathing room like what we see here. So it'll be more equal. So that's for your denotative. I'm sorry, for your connotative. Your denotative, definitely better. I would say let's make sure vanilla reads starting here, maybe at the where the C is, and then we can move the C down. Maybe that can align to the bottom of step 4, the last sentence, like so. And then careful that we're not getting too close to the type right here. So just be a little bit more wary of that. Your ingredients seem a little bit scattered, and I'm wondering if there's a way to unify them a little bit more clearly. See if there's some kind of solution we can do to make sure that this is still the ingredients list. And then, like I said, we can take vanilla and move it where towards the C is, and the C can go down, and maybe that can align with the bottom. And I'd want to see either cake align with the bottom sentence right here of sorts, but not just, not sure where this aligns to. So that would be my feedback for you. So that was it for group 2. I'll see you in the next video for group